Hi, I'm Catherine Branch of Canine Support, and thank you for joining me today as we are celebrating 50 years of Tellington TTouch. In today's video, we are going to look at TTouch Tail Slides. We can obviously do circular touches on the tail, the base of the tail as well, but today I just wanted to give you some simple tail slides to try with your dogs. And this is because we've already spoken about touches around the face and the head, because so much emotion is held within the face and the jaw, and actually our dogs' tails also hold a huge amount of emotion as well. I think back to when I first adopted Chloe, and her tail was permanently stuck as far between her legs as possible because she was just petrified of life. So that's kind of one show of emotion. And we think about how much tension that might then cause through the rest of their hips, their back, and even up to their shoulders and neck. Obviously, we've got waggy tails, so it can be excitement, it can be fear, it can be, very many different reasons for a waggy tail. And then also tails that are held really high as well, alertness, again, anxiety, perhaps fear, something like that. And not just that, if they've got a downward tail, if you like, but obviously our dogs that have got tails that naturally curve up and over their backs. How about we can kind of relax some of that tension that might be caused by them just holding it in that position all the time, even though it's natural part of their breed. Actually, what if we can soften that area as well? The most important part with tail slides is that we are just making a suggestion of movement. And I have a different dog today. We'll stand you up there for a second. As we're doing the slides, we just want to just tip him up a little bit. We want to just make a suggestion of that movement. Can you just release your tail a little bit? And rather than getting to this point and letting go, we want to just suggest some movement and then return the tail to where we found it, so that we're not forcing it out from between their legs. We're just going, what happens? How do you feel if you can move your tail a little bit? And the same with our upward pointing tails. So our dogs that perhaps have curly tails like this, actually, just plop him on the desk. Can we suggest a little bit of movement away from the back, but then allow them to return the tail to where they like to be? And I've got a couple of videos with different tails for you. And if we think of the tails, very similar to our ear slides, we're moving in the direction. So the ear slides, you've got floppy ears, you come downwards with that, with the ear. If you've got pointy ears, then we're going upwards in the same direction as the ears sit. And it's very much similar with their natural tail positions as well. So we're not forcing anything, we're just making a little sneaky suggestion. So let me find the videos. Before actually I do that, tail slides are really good at reducing fear and also reactivity, and sometimes those things come hand in hand, but fear, noise sensitivity, things like that as well. It helps to build self-confidence and it improves physical and emotional balance. And because the tail is an extension of the dog's spine, the working with their tails can influence their pelvis and hindquarters, their middle back, and also their neck and shoulders. And so let me find those videos for you and we'll get going. So as I said, tails can come in all kinds of shapes and sizes, and that can really change how you approach their tails. Obviously, we've got the tails that hang down, the ones that curve up over their back, corkscrew ones, so perhaps like a pug, something like that. They can be short, long, hairy, sometimes docked, sometimes short after surgery. All of these different things that we have to take into consideration. And so, as I said, we are going to suggest movement rather than to manipulate or straighten the tail out. We're just going, how does it feel if your tail moves a little bit? And it's such a powerful TTouch. We always need to go at our dog's pace. We need to do a little bit and then pause, give them time to process, watch for their feedback. And it's, again, an extremity area. So actually we want to start with some TTouch on a bigger body part. So perhaps their shoulder, down their back, gradually working towards their tail, dipping in and out, and maybe do one tail slide and then come back to their main body again. And it's definitely kind of a less is more when it comes to the tail slides. So this is Chloe, and I did this video, it was a few years ago now. She was quite nervous about being filmed. She didn't like the camera watching her, and you can see that her tail is quite tucked between her legs because she's a little bit anxious. So actually I'm just starting a little bit of llama touch down her side to begin with, and she's just kind of having a look around, some blinking, some lip licking, and then she does this lovely pause, and you can see actually how high her tail can go, and that's her kind of happy tail. When she's out on a walk, she actually holds her tail quite high. So a lovely little stretch from her. And then I'm just kind of working, okay, well, we're just building some confidence, and it's nothing to be scared of, sort of standing in front of the camera. And she has a little wander off, and then we have a little break, and then we come back again. I've sat down this time because it might be a little bit easier for her, and I'm just running my hand all the way down her back and then over her tail, making that suggestion of movement and returning the tail back to where she had it before. And these sliding touches, she sheds quite a lot of hair. She's a really hairy dog. But these suggestions of movement and then returning the tail, and you can see there that it's now just hanging softly, more of a natural position rather than slightly curved in towards her back legs. She looks around quite a lot because there's flies, and she doesn't like the flies. And then you can see she's standing a little bit taller. And again, the opportunity for her to wander off if she wants to, and then comes back again. So her body looks a lot softer now that I've been doing this a few times. Her head looks more relaxed. Her ears aren't quite so kind of anxious looking. Her eyes are softer. And we're just doing these slides all the way down. That was a fly. But I'm going to pause just in case she needs to move. No, she seems happy, so we'll do another slide. And this is just Noah's March, where I slide the palm of my hand over her body. And just this in itself brings trust in touching towards her back end, let alone her tail as well. And then a lovely stretch afterwards, and a little wag of her tail as well. It really warmed my heart the first time she wagged her tail, which was really sweet, having had it stuck between her legs for so long. So this is Martha, one of my clients' dogs, a Welsh Terrier, and she holds her tail up, that's part of her breed, up over her back, but she actually holds quite a lot of tension down her spine, in her back, and obviously then in her tail as well. She has gradually got used to me touching her, but we do some tiny bits, and here I'm running my hand down her back, and then I'm using the back of my fingers to actually make contact with her tail, so it's not quite so intense because I'm not her person. So again, sliding down her back and then just using my fingers, and I'm doing it quite quickly because for Martha, for a stranger to touch her slowly might be quite intense for her, so it's important to meet her and her needs where she is at. And then we actually have Martha with her person doing some slides, and obviously she can go a lot slower, and so again sliding down the back and then using kind of the edge of her finger to slide along the tail and just make that suggestion of movement, and then doing like a lovely air slide off the end of the tail as well, where we just kind of continue the slide through the air, and you can see how Martha's tail starts to relax. She is kind of listening to what's going on, but this is really nice for her to experience her tail relaxed like that. So obviously have a go. Some dogs might be a little bit more sensitive about being touched near their rear end and their tail. So go at your dog's pace, and don't force anything. Just obviously pause a lot and watch for their feedback, and see how you get on. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.